time now to take you through the morning papers. With me this morning are the academic and author Joanna Williams and the journalist and author Yasmin Alibhai-Brown. So welcome back to both of you. Good to see you both. We took a look at some of the front pages in the first hour, and all of them really focused on the Tory leadership race, but we're delving inside this hour, aren't we? And Yasmin, you've picked out a story from the Daily Mail this morning. Tory MPs must move to axe Partygate probe if Boris returns. That's according to his allies, says the headline.
This is just, I thought I was shocked enough that he's coming back, Boris Johnson, but here are the papers who've been his cheerleaders actually suggesting that he cannot be investigated, as the rules stipulate, for some of the stuff he's alleged to have done while in office. I grew up in an African country. This happens in some of those countries. It shouldn't be happening in a stable 1,000-year democracy. I don't know what the paper is trying to suggest here, that this sort of wrongdoing, if it happened, and we have photographic evidence for some of it just needs to be dropped because it's Boris Johnson, because Boris Johnson is above the law and above rules. So I find this quite troubling.
Sorry, just to say, put some of those things back to you. I think that the critics that are quoted in the article suggest that it's a witch hunt, and they say that it's malicious. That's just some of the things I'm picking out from the copy there.
Yeah, but it hasn't started, and these are very sober investigations. This isn't a police investigation. Parliamentary scrutiny lies at the heart of an uncorrupt system. If there's nothing to fear, why would you not want an investigation to happen? They might exonerate him. But to say that it's Boris Johnson and therefore he should not be investigated, I think alarm bells should go off.
Okay, let's move on. And that investigation, as you say, underway with the Privileges Committee, I think looking at whether he knowingly misled Parliament in talking about the Partygate issues. Joanna, let's turn to the Telegraph, shall we? Because there's an article here that you wanted to talk about, and it's focusing on a poll, isn't it?
Yes, that's right. This is a poll that's showing that only 14% of voters would back the Conservative Party were there to be an election tomorrow. And I think it's worth just dwelling on how absolutely historically unprecedented this is. It's the lowest level of support for the Conservative Party that's ever been reported in an opinion poll. So that's lower than even in 2017, when there were all the crises in Parliament over Brexit. It's also worth pointing out that this is record low amongst Conservative voters. Only 29% of people who voted Conservative in the last election would do so again. And it's also a record low of only 19% among Brexit voters. So the Conservative Party have managed to actually lose Brexit voters. And, it just seems to me that this is a combination of lots of different things. Clearly, all the Partygate scandal that you've just been talking about, but also this ongoing sense of chaos, and more to the point, the fact that the Truss premierships, short though it was, and Hunt installed as Chancellor, this just bears no relationship to what people actually voted for back in 2019. This is not what people voted for at all. And it does seem to me that really the only way to do this now is to have a general election. Sure, the Conservative Party will probably be wiped out if his polling is in any way an accurate reflection. The extent to which a potential Boris Johnson comeback could turn this around, who knows? I'm sceptical. I'm sure it would lead to some increase in the polling for the Conservative Party, but whether it would be enough to repeat the landslide victory of 2019, personally, I'm very, very doubtful about that.
Yes, because Yasmin, we should remind everybody that only Penny Mordaunt has formally declared that she's running, but Rishi Sunak and Boris Johnson clearly have intentions to as well. And picking up on that point that Joanna was making there about a mandate, Boris Johnson's supporters are saying he's the only one of those three that does have a mandate because he's the one that went to the country with the 2019 manifesto and he wants to pick up where he left off.
Well, I think one should really be quite skeptical about this kind of slogan that's being thrown around that he won the mandate. People vote in this country for their local MP, for starters. And Brexit was very much a live issue then. There's some rethinking going on for a lot of people about the Brexit vote. And there has been a whole list of scandals that erupted during the Boris era. So even those who voted for him in 2019, from what Joanna's just said, you know, the polls show they're not necessarily going to do the same again. So I think it's disingenuous to keep going on about the 2019 result as a justification to bring in Boris Johnson.
And Joanna, just to go back to your point about saying a general election is the only answer, that's certainly what Labour wants. It's what all the opposition parties, I think, want. SNP and Lib Dem, certainly. How does that come about, though? That's in the gift of the Prime Minister, isn't it? And at the moment, with polls like this one in the Telegraph, no Prime Minister, Tory Prime Minister, is likely to call one, are they?
No, I think that's absolutely right. And you've got a lot of Conservative Party MPs who, you know, this is their first time in Parliament. They are sitting on a large majority. It seems to me they're unlikely to want to vote for a general election. Ultimately, I guess we don't have that long to wait until we will have to have an election under our current system. But I think the further, I mean, I would pull up Yasmin on what she said. You know, I think democracy is important, and the rules of democracy that we have in place, it's absolutely vital that we stick to those. And I do think, you know, as much as we can criticise Boris Johnson, and I'll be first in line to level those criticisms against him, I think when people vote, you know, that clearly they are voting for a constituency MP, but that also is for a party, it's for a manifesto, and it is within an assumption that one particular person will be leading that party at a particular point in time. Now, I think the problem is we've just drifted so far away from that. If it had just been a change of leader, but sticking to the original manifesto, or, you know, if it had just been a little bit of a change, perhaps voters could this would still be some reflection on what people voted for. But I do think, as things stand at the moment, Sunak's been rejected by his own MPs, you know, so has Penny Mordaunt. Boris is the only one who does seem to have even a shred of legitimacy to take that position.
Okay, we're going to leave it there, but thank you both very much indeed, and I'll see you again in an hour. Thanks for that little review of the papers. We appreciate it.